What is up, everybody? How are you doing out there? And of course, it's that manga guy for number 2 of the Shonen Weekly and our first ever Monster Madness Monthly. Now, what the Monster Madness Monthly is me and my co-host Zero Straw Hats, aka Jordan, and we have Lion from Hobbies of a Man here, who we want to join up and talk about Kaiju number 8. Now, what Kaiju number 8 is a hard-hitting Kaiju series that came out this month, and we wanted to do kind of a monthly wrap-up, a recap, and just give our takes and have a fun discussion about what we think, what we know, and what will be Kaiju number 8. Say hello, everybody.
Hello.
What's
How are
going
you?
on?
Very informative. So let's get into, Kaiju number 8 is a wonderful series that came out. Now, the big thing is when it came out, it hit with 5 chapters, right? That was 5 chapters of insanity, and I don't think anyone has ever really done that before. Is that correct?
I have.
I don't know. Well, so the reason why it came out with 5 chapters at the beginning was because it's a series that had already been going on in Japan for a couple weeks, but they hadn't decided to bring it over to America or like to put it in English. From what I understand, I'm not exactly sure if that's true, but the consensus on the Kaiju number 8 subreddit and the research I've done by myself is that basically Japan was waiting to see if it was popular, and then because it was popular, they ported it over. I think they did the same thing with Spy Family, but I think that was available somewhere else online before they brought it over to the app. I'm not really sure though.
Okay, so yeah, I know most series, Japan's further along in their stories, from popularity wise, plus the whole change up or the whole rigmarole of translating and editing all the panels for that. I know it's from Matsumoto Naoya, who did Kaiju number 8. And I think what happened was it came out really quickly, right? It came out super quick. And for me, I think it was you, Lion, who posted about that one teaser shot for Kaiju number 8 that got me super hyped. So let me go around to you guys. How did you find out about the series?
You can start, Lion.
Okay, so basically, I follow Uchu Shelf on Twitter, and he posted a picture of it, and I thought it looked super cool. And he posted a picture of it like a week before it released, and then I forgot about it. And then for some reason, I was on his Twitter page or whatever looking, and then I saw it again. I looked through it. I thought it was super cool, and then I shared it with some other manga tubers, and then that's how I kind of found out about it. And I read it, and I thought it was super awesome. So yeah, that's how I got into it.
Well, for me, honestly, I found out first from your channel, Lion. I saw you make a video on it, and then I didn't like watch the video by the way, but I saw the thumbnail. I was like, okay, this looks cool. A new series is out.
Yeah.
And then I saw like East Coast Manga made a video on it, and I'm pretty sure I saw like a couple other people made a video on it, and I was like, okay, something's going on with this series. So I read it, I really enjoyed it, and then I went back and watched all of you guys' videos, and I just wasn't expecting to enjoy those 5 chapters so much, but I really did, and I'm hooked on it.
Yeah, that day people went crazy with that series. Like the first couple of days, a lot of people made videos about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of went crazy and put one out like right away.
Yeah,
I should have been working, but what I did was read, and then once I was done with work, I like put up a quick video, like ASAP.
I think what's cool is like I saw all the other videos out. Like I remember everyone had a video out for it, and I was like, okay, I don't really need to make a video for it. Everyone's already made it. I'm just gonna read the chapters and then like whatever. And I
Mhm.
read them, and I just like couldn't not make a video. Like I just was so super excited, so I ended up making one too.
Yeah, it was super cool. I really liked the first 5 chapters. I thought it was a really interesting story, and it was very clearly shonen, but it had enough elements there that were different. It was really nice.
Yeah, it's definitely taking a lot from other formats, and I'm not even saying from like manga standpoints.
Yeah.
So, getting into everything, uh, it was a wild ride. The first 5 chapters were free, and now, it's getting to the point where there's actually chapters that you have to get are not free. Yes. I believe it's the first 3 and the last 2 are free right now, but you got a couple of them now that you actually need to pay the subscription for. So unfortunately,
Yeah, and if you're not paying that subscription, you should be paying it because it's $2 a month or something like that, and you get a lot of manga. So.
Yeah, it's super cheap, and it's the first 3 and the last 3.
okay,
You get them for free if you don't have the subscription. You can read the first 3 and the latest 3 chapters. So it's actually pretty nice. It allows you to have a lot of different things, and it lets you try out series for free.
yeah, definitely, especially with the new series. You can keep up with it without having to pay.
Yeah.
So it's always good to have, regardless. But getting into this, let's just, right away, let's get into recapping and talking about these chapters. So getting into just chapter 1, Lion, take it away.
Yeah, so chapter 1, we basically get the introduction of our main character, and then there's a battle with a small kaiju, which I think is called the Joju. And then from there, we basically have Kafka get injured. He's in the hospital, and then the ending of the chapter is this like kaiju wasp going into his body, and he awakens some kaiju powers. And that's basically the whole setup for the first chapter. It was 50 pages, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah, so Kafka Habino, age 32, as we see here. He is part of the cleanup crew,
Cleanup crew, yeah.
and that's actually a pretty interesting story altogether, right? It's them, especially with this panel right here. This is probably one of the funniest panels, is when they're working on the intestines and everything is censored. I thought that was pretty funny.
I was actually curious about why it was censored. I think most people think that it's because Shonen Jump censors it, but I don't think that's really true because they do a lot of other stuff that's pretty dark. I personally think it was just the author didn't want to really draw it, so they just kind of censored it and then drew on top of it.
I think it was, well, let's just censor this, because all it is what, like crap. Like it's pretty easy to draw, and it's not quote unquote like censored. It could look like rocks for all we know. But I think that was just the funniest thing is flies flying around and just everything is censored.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the first chapter had a little bit of everything. It had some good humor. It introduced you to your characters, and I think it was really interesting to have it focus on the cleaning crew instead of the fighting crew in the beginning. It's just different. We do get a little bit of a backstory on the main character, Kafka, and what is the main girl's name? We get a little, the girl who's like a really good squad captain or whatever. We get a little bit of backstory though. I think it was a pretty good first chapter, good way to start.
Yeah, her name is Mina Ashiro.
Yeah, geez, Zero, come on.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think it was a really good thing, and it's nice that the main character is not a teenage boy. It's really, special, and I think that's because it's a Jump Plus title. Those are kind of like different. Like they have a lot of freedom to do a lot more stuff because it's online instead of on the magazine. But yeah, she is really interesting. I don't understand why she has like a tiger. I'm really interested to see why that is, but we haven't gotten any backstory on her at all.
A little bit. We got the 2 panels, right?
Okay, yeah, we got. Well, I don't remember if we got anything in this first chapter besides that one panel where she's in the shower or like the bath.
We have a scene of like we see her on TV, and then we see the 2 of them together, like looking down at the city when they were kids. So that's kind of really all we got.
Yeah,
Right.
In this chapter, I think we got a little bit more backstory later on, but I can't remember which chapter it was.
That's the one thing about it. We got 5 chapters at once, so sometimes it's kind of hard to remember what chapter it was because we read them all in one go.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
So yeah, this is a very good opening to a series. It gives you everything that you need to know, and then, you know, leaves you with questions.
Yeah, a lot
Like,
of questions.
what was that flying bug that turned him into a kaiju? What type of kaiju? Like, because all of them look different, so there has to be a specific type. It doesn't even look like the creature that went inside of him at all.
Yeah, the thing that went inside him looked like a wasp or something, and he is like basically All Might if All Might had like armor, basically. More
One
like-
thing, yeah. One thing that I think is super interesting now that I'm like looking back at it that I didn't notice before. It says I found you, so it kind of seems like this wasn't like a random like he just happened to go into Kafka. It might be more if he was selected for some kind of reason. I just noticed that now when I was reading through it.
Right, and here's the I found you. This is the creepiest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it looks crazy as hell. And yeah, the thing when it says I found you, I was like, so they're targeting him, right? And why are they targeting him specifically? Like, there's a lot of questions generated by this single panel. It's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and here's the wonderful shot of Kafka as he turned into a kaiju with the moon behind him. Now,
Yeah, I thought that was a really...
if the moon is ever that big in real life, we're dead. Let's just say that.
Well, it depends on the angle, right? And like how well, actually, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, but I thought that scene was really nice. The art, the mangaka has really good art skills.
Yeah, he
Right.
does. I think his art is pretty good,
Yeah.
especially when he's drawing Kafka as a kaiju. I think that's when it really shows the most.
Oh snap. So yeah, chapter 1, you get a little taste, and then we get into chapter 2 that gives you a little bit more, I would say, comedy to Kafka as a kaiju.
Wait. Yeah, chapter 2, right? That's what
Yeah.
what
Yes.
we're talking about. Sorry, I zoned out for a second. Yeah, so chapter 2 basically is when Kafka beats up a kaiju. Like, he wakes up, he's like, what the heck? Very confused. Reno, the other guy that he's friends with, is very confused as well. And then they run out because, stuff is happening and he's not sure. Then they fight a kaiju. And then I think that's when Kafka has to go pee. And then he's like, how do I pee? And then he just does, and it like flies out of his nipples or something. It's just really funny. And then at the end, it like Kafka's resolve kind of like solidifies, and he's like, I have power now. I'm gonna try my best to save people, which is really cool.
Now here is a scene that the panel that nobody really talks about, but this is I believe when he was talking about how he wanted to join up in the with the Force to begin with. And there's a
Yeah,
giant dragon here, and nobody's. I haven't heard a single person talking about this giant dragon.
I think why is because if you go back a few pages, there's this like really beautiful color spread, and I think because that color spread, like for me personally, I gave so much attention to that page that once you get over here, you're like, okay, this is cool, but that color spread's still kind of like fresh in your mind. But looking back at this panel again, it's a really nice panel too.
yeah. I think a lot of people also glossed over it because it's like a dragon, but the kaiju don't look like dragons. Like all the other kaiju just look like vague monsters. They don't have anything really defining about them. So this dragon is obviously like him imagining it. So it doesn't really have that much meaning to it. At least that's why I kind of glossed over it personally. I didn't really find it that compelling, I guess.
So we've only seen one, right? One bigger type dunjo,
Well, no.
right?
There was two of them, right? It was well,
But they both kind of similarly looked alike.
yeah, they kind of look the same.
And then we had the bug that assaulted and should be brought to justice. We need to cancel that bug on Twitter.
Yeah, like
that looked different, and Kafka looks completely different.
yeah.
So we don't know. Maybe there are dragons. Maybe.
I mean, dragons are just medieval kaiju, and kaiju are just modern dragons, right? They're basically the same type of thing.
Well, the whole
More or less.
kaiju name is strange creature,
Strange beast. Yeah.
right? So, so I mean, you could be a kaiju to something, right? Like,
yeah.
it's all subjective based because, I mean, if you all look like what Kafka looks like being a kaiju, then he wouldn't be a kaiju. He'd just be normal.
Yeah.
But
But I mean, there's also like that's like the dictionary definition, but then like the colloquial, normal definition that everyday people use is usually a monster that comes from the ocean, usually, and it has like radioactive powers or something like that.
I mean, Rodan never came from no ocean.
Okay. Like Godzilla.
Godzilla's different.
Yeah, but I don't know. I maybe I don't remember enough, but I don't think there was anything particularly powerful in the second chapter, besides just the bit at the end when he beats the kaiju, saves the little girl, and then he's like, you know what, I can be powerful. But
There wasn't anything that struck out to you, like him single-handedly punching a kaiju and making it rain blood?
I mean, that was a pretty cool panel. That was a really cool panel.
Now, I'll tell you later on, he has a way cooler punch, but this one definitely was unexpected, to say the least.
I remember like, genuinely like standing up out of my seat when I was reading this. I was so hyped reading this chapter, like this, seeing that panel. I really enjoyed it. I think the only other thing, like we were saying before, is that the comedy was pretty good. Like I think like the simple scene of him like trying to open the window and he accidentally like breaks open like the whole like pretty funny.
yeah,
So I think it's definitely funny, and then we have that like resolve moment in the end with that good color spread. So definitely think it's a good follow-up chapter to the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. And there wasn't, besides the comedy of, like, you still see Kafka being his weird, older, jokey self, in this new body and his powers. We didn't get much in there. And then that leads right into chapter 3.
Yeah, so chapter 3 is Reno lets Kafka know that they moved the age up to 33, and Kafka's 32 for the test, right? And so they sign up to go to the test, and they go to the test center, and they meet the greatest individual in this whole series, Hikaru. Uh, and she was just like a bratty, rich girl, and she was like, no, I want this spot. You can't have it. And it was really fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hikaru is definitely um strange to say the least.
I love her. I love how she's just like, you know what? I'm gonna take this dress off and lift the stupid truck.
I really
Uh,
love her interactions with Kafka. They're really funny.
yeah, every single time they interact, it's like, oh my god.
It's
Yeah.
it's like a brother sister relationship of the little sister's
Yeah.
sick and tired of the older brother, being in the shadow of. So she's like, "No, I'm better than you. I'm smarter. I'm stronger. I can do things. You can't do anything. You're old and washed up." And that was amazing.
Yeah, it was great.
I think not to get too ahead of ourselves, but I'm definitely interested to see how their relationship's gonna change after what just recently happened. But we'll get to that a little bit more later.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. And
I
then
don't
we
know.
go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't really know if there was anything that special in this chapter either. This was kind of like a connecting chapter. I mean, besides Kikoru's introduction, right? There's not much else that we can really think about. I mean, the problem is that chapter to chapter, it doesn't feel like much. But then when you put it all together, the amount of world building and storytelling that's actually, given to you is huge.
Yeah,
So,
just a couple. I think one other thing that we got on, I think this is the chapter where we find out that he's learned how to control his kaiju power for the most part. You see him smiling with the teeth out, but for the most part, we kind of skipped through the whole him learning how to use the kaiju power, which in like a normal shonen that would probably have been like a chapter or two, and just like him learning how to hide it. You know what I mean? But we kind of skipped through that part and went straight back into some more important things. So I think that was a good touch there instead of focusing too much on that little aspect.
Yeah,
it was very. Oh, go ahead.
I do think that just getting to it right, the fact that he can change, it was hinted at in chapter 2 at the last panel, and then here it's him being able to switch and do that, which it would have been drawn out and it would be boring just to kind of see him running and hiding and not doing much through it. And it doesn't seem like he took that long because he's still working.
I think it was 3 months.
Yeah, you're right. 3 months.
Yeah, it was 3 months since he became it, but he's still working with the team.
Yeah, with the cleanup crew.
Yeah.
It's basically the little section. Like, if this was My Hero, it's the two chapters in between All Might and Deku meeting and when he goes to take the test. And they just decided to skip one. Which is pretty good.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
It would have just been one of those things where you how the chapter's gonna end. There's nothing really exciting to look forward to, but they skip through that, and we're getting into some stuff like soon, man. This next two chapters are really gonna start heating up. I really think the pacing in this series has been great so far. The whole moment here though, with him picking up the car and him like turning into a kaiju from the front just for a second, it's just a really funny little chapter. Definitely was enjoyable.
Yeah, I agree.
So we can definitely get into chapter 4.
Yeah, so chapter 4 is basically an endurance test. It's really reminiscent of My Hero Academia once again. It's like not point for point, but very similar. So it's an endurance test. They're just testing how far they can run, how much they can lift, kind of, general stuff. And then at the end, they shift over to the next test, which is going to be a kind of hunting mission against kaiju. Like, it's proctored, right? And I think the important section here was the introduction of the proctor team, because we had right? It was in this chapter where they introduced the guy with the bowl cut that laughs at them a lot. That
Yeah.
like really has a lot of fun with Kafka being weird.
Yeah, I think we met him. That's the only one of them I think we met in this chapter. We met him, and then I think we met other contestants. But as far as the group, that's the only guy we met.
Yeah, and all the other contestants were like high schoolers that were children of rich people or children of military people from all over the world, and they were coming to Japan to take this test to be the part of the Japan Defense Force, which is very similar to kind of Pacific Rim.
Yeah, I keep hearing that comparison, but I haven't seen that movie, so I can't comment. But I know people keep saying that these series are very similar.
Yeah,
I mean, there's monsters in them, I guess. That's similar. But
yeah.
Honestly, though, like I feel like 4, 5, and 6 were all like mashed together, right? Like all in a part, they're good, but like breaking up chapter to chapter, not much really happened except for the funniest joke that happened came about with the suits, and that comes a little bit later.
Yeah, so there's really nothing to talk about chapter 4. Do you want me to just go on to chapter 5?
Yeah,
and we can talk
definitely.
about both of them together. Yeah, so chapter 5, the proper test begins in earnest. Sorry, and they're running around. They're trying to hunt down kaiju, but Kafka and Reno can't really do anything. They're like too weak, and before that, they kind of get given suits which are made with kaiju fibers, which is interesting. You like don the muscles of your enemies in order to defeat them. It's kind of interesting. And basically, your physical fitness and your like willpower, I guess. I'm not really sure how it works. Applies something to the suit, and then it makes you be able to use a certain amount of it. And a bunch of people were getting normal-ish scores, like 20% power, and then Kikoru got 47, and then Kafka got a big fat 0.
Yeah, and the whole joke is where they're like, "Don't worry, you'll do fine as long as you don't have 0," and no one has that, and Kafka like, "It's a 0," and they're like, "Well, you might die."
Yeah, that was really great. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so these the whole test part up until this this training exercise, Kafka was afraid to use his powers at all. He's like, I don't want to use them, and I want to do it myself, and it might be weird if this old guy could like beat all these young ones. And then he gets a big fat 0, and he's like, well, this is really bad. And he's like, I can use different parts of my bodies that's under the suit to do things. But everyone's making fun of him,
Yeah, he gets discouraged.
It's horrible. I feel bad for the guy.
Yeah.
This definitely gives you, like, I don't know if it did this for you, but, like, this part in particular definitely gave me a lot of, like, My Hero Academia vibes with, like, Deku in the first test, not really knowing how to do anything. But I think it's, in later chapters, really comes its own thing.
At least he didn't cry about it for, the whole time.
Yeah, that's the good thing about Kafka. He's not a crybaby like Deku. But, yeah, overall, these series are very, very similar.
So let's just jump right to the ending of this. So the big thing is they go. A lot of people are talking about how there's another test after this that usually is about like kaiju cleanup and kaiju, body parts and that. And they're like, dude, this is what we do. We got this in the bag. And then you find out that they have to do a small kaiju extermination test. And they get into it, and the one thing Kafka knows is, you know, what different kaiju there are, what their weaknesses are, what their strengths are, so they start to play support. And it comes up to the last panel of a chapter where he's like, dude, we got this, and then he just gets attacked out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then it comes into one of the coolest fight scenes with your girl, you know, and she just comes in and smokes everybody. And let's get right to this part, because this is where it's starting to pick up and just all hell's breaking loose.
Yeah, so first thing in chapter 6 is a really nice cover image. We get Kikoru with a gun in a school uniform in front of a like big cross, and I thought that was really interesting imagery. And then, you know, Kafka gets clapped by the kaiju. Then you cut to the test center. The proctors are like looking at him, and they're gonna decide to put up his shield, which means that he has to quit the test. But, you know, he's having a flashback moment. He's kind of remembering the type of situations that he found himself in, and the fact that he can't, you know, give up, because he promised his friend Mina that he was going to be there with her. And Kikoru saves him. She's like, you know what? I won't let you die because I'm the best, and if anyone dies on my watch, that's like showing that I'm not the best. And then she like basically beats up all of the kaiju by herself, and it was super badass.
Until the ending.
Yeah. So basically, at the end, a new kaiju appears. It has some sort of hammerhead-looking thing, and it's in the shadows. And then she gets a blade shoved through her heart, and that's where the manga ends for that chapter. And oh man, that was such a good moment when it first came out. I was going crazy over it.
Yeah, I definitely like the flip Kikoru had for like the last coup de grace, where she's just flipping over this thing and just shooting the all living hell out of it. And it just dies. And she's like, ha! Okay. I'm the best! You don't need anybody! And she turns around and just gets smoked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this chapter is really cool. Like, even like the way like she like pulled the grenade out like with her mouth and then like threw it, and then like that's the scene where she does the flip. It's really badass. And I also think that this is probably like up to this point one of my favorite looking kaiju in the end. It just looks scary. It looks like it's about to do something for real.
Yeah, it looks really menacing.
Yeah. And yeah, I think it was a really good way to end the chapter. It was definitely one of those chapters where you really wanted next week to come quick.
For sure, man. I was like chomping at the bit for the next chapter, especially because the week before that it was super easy to just move on to the next one, and I wasn't paying attention to how many pages were left. And you know, because of the week before that it was like 126, this 20 page chapter felt so short.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I agree.
But
and then we get right into chapter 7, which did it answer anything that you wanted answered? No, but it gave you so much more of a girl.
Yeah, basically. So in chapter 7, right? That's what we're on.
Yes.
Kafka and Ichikawa are talking, and then the kaiju start to what's it called? Wait, give me a second. Sorry. Yeah, so she's severely injured, and she's kind of having a moment where she's realizing that she's about to die, and she's remembering kind of her history, her like life, and it turns out her dad was a dick. And
honestly, all right, if you look at this now look at this panel before you finish this. He looks like Endeavor. from My Hero.
Oh my god.
He is Endeavor.
Yeah,
Pro-
basically.
prove me wrong. If you take the flames from Endeavor, there he
Put them
is.
over him. Yeah, for real.
I didn't see it, but now that you mention it, I can see it.
So yeah, this chapter was the backstory for Kikoru and why she is the way she is.
Mm-hmm.
Also left out. So there's a new kaiju that shows up, talks, and reanimates everything.
Yeah, you know, they start to notice that the kaiju are regenerating slowly, but it doesn't really come into play until the next chapter, right? I
Yeah.
can't remember.
Yeah, I don't think-
He starts
I
up
think it-
his horn stuff
Mhm.
to do that energy blast in this chapter.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. So the kaiju get reanimated, and then it starts to charge up because it didn't just get reanimated; it got like upgraded a little bit, like the big one. And the humanoid kaiju is talking to it like it's a dog, and it was really creepy and concerning. And it was like, it kind of added to the drama of it. It made it seem like this kaiju is so powerful that you know it can treat monsters like pets. Uh, and then it starts charging up, and before it charges up, and Kikoru's standing up to like face death on her feet, Kafka shows up in a super cool like superhero moment, and he's like, "I'm here." It was super great.
Yeah, it was really cool chapter. I think the ending, like I said before, any panel we get Kafka looking in his kaiju form, I think always looks really good. I
Mhm.
really like that. And I think I remember we talked separately when we were, reading these chapters weekly about how when it and if it was gonna happen, if we were gonna get kaiju in the humanoid form who could talk, and it happened a lot sooner than any of us were talking about. I didn't think we were gonna get it in chapter 7. It was really cool, really unexpected, and I really enjoyed it. I just didn't think we were gonna. I expected something like this later in the series, but to get it in chapter 7 in this moment was really cool.
Yeah, I agree with you. I also thought about like, is this the same type of kaiju as Kafka? Is it someone that got injected with a wasp? And I came to the conclusion that it's not because Kafka has a very distinct design, right? His armor is all black, where most kaiju are like light skinned. Well, we don't know what color they are, right? Because they don't get painted.
Yeah, whoa,
But they're white, and Kafka is black or gray. So we can tell that they're not the same. Plus, their armor plating is very different. And if the humanoid kaiju was the same type of kaiju as Kafka, I think there'd be a lot more similarities there to kind of signify that, you know, hey, they're the same type. But I mean, it could be just not true.
Also, looking into it, we already got a talking kaiju in chapter 1, and I think we kind of passed that by because it was something small and happened really quickly. But there was intelligence already that we kind of glanced over. The big thing is now I don't know how this kaiju knew about what's going on or why he targeted this place specifically. Maybe he has already something in line. Maybe he's the one that sent out the wasp. Who knows? But he treats these kaiju, these unintelligent kaijus, like pets, and you know he's gonna wreak havoc. Kafka wasn't gonna let that happen.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that he actually transformed here too, because I kind of thought he was gonna do one of those like half transformations during this arc, but to get the full transformation in the end, it was pretty cool.
And then we just dive right into chapter 8, which I have to say is probably my favorite chapter.
Yeah, so in chapter 8, the kaiju regenerate, and it's actually kind of concurrent to chapter 7. Like at the same time, Kikoru is dying on the floor. Well, which she's not really dying, because we learned that she was able to move the kaiju fibers in her suit enough to deflect the blade away from her heart, which is like okay, but it still got her lung, right? So she could be dying. I'm not like she wasn't gonna die. She said she wasn't gonna die, but I wasn't exactly sure. And then yeah, so the Japanese Defense Force is getting ready to deploy, like the Proctors, but they take forever to get there. And Kikori is preparing to die properly, and then Kafka realizes that Kikori is all alone, and he, without thinking, decides to go help her. And Reno or Ichikawa is like thinking out loud, like Kafka's gonna go do this. Kafka's gonna go save her, and he's not gonna take care of himself. And then before he realizes it, Kafka's gone, and we jump back to the end of the previous chapter where Kafka's standing in front of Kikoru. They have a bit of an altercation. Kikoru's asking him, "Hey, are you a bad guy?" And he's like, "No, I promise I'm not a bad guy. Please don't tell anyone, please."
And then he just deflects this beam
With a
single-handedly.
single punch.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so cool.
It
And
was really cool.
he like generates these like
Flashes?
these for his legs like plants. His elbow opens up like a mouth with a jet on it, and he just goes to punch this thing fist for fist, and it's the longest punch I've ever seen in a manga. So they both punch each other fist for fist. Then the next page is all the flesh and muscle and everything is off of this dude's arm. And then the next page is all the flesh and fiber and muscle are completely ripping out of this kaiju, and then he just explodes.
I think it was so cool the way they did it. It was so cool. Like, it felt fast because the way they did it, because those panels go by really quickly. But it was just such a savage moment that it didn't bother me that this chapter felt kind of fast to read.
I mean, the point that it's making, that it's not just, it punches and then it explodes. It shows you the ripple effect of this huge punch that just happened, that it just tore everything completely apart.
Yeah, there was so much detail in that panel. Like, you could even see where Kafka's feet sunk into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost, again, it's almost like in that fight scene between All Might and the Nomu, when they're punching and punching and punching, and then the ground beneath them crumbles. Same exact kind of thing here. And then, man, that was so cool. But it was also such a, like, it reminded me of the Avengers movie when Bruce Banner is like, "You want to know my secret?" And then he like says he's always angry and turns into the Hulk.
Yeah.
Like, the beginning of this chapter felt like that to me, where Kafka's like, "Don't worry, I'm here and I have, this monster power." It was super interesting.
And he saves Kikoru and gets reprimanded, and then Ashido and Hoshina arrive and everything's dead again. The big thing with this takeaway is, while they're getting to the place, when the Japanese Defense Force is flying over, they realize that there's a fortitude at 9.8, which is the largest they've ever seen.
They call it a Dai Kaiju, which is a king kaiju, basically.
Yes, and then everything explodes, and nothing's left. And this is where we're left off, because this week, they did us dirty. They did us dirty. As dirty as you can get. We found out that we're only getting 3 weeks of content every month.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll get like what we got this week, which is we got some alternative artwork. But what they say, every 3 chapters they're gonna take a week break.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's really odd. I don't think any other mangaka has done this before. Or, well, I'm sure they have, but it's not common. Most series are weekly, bi-weekly or monthly. This one is really odd that it's just like 3 weeks and then a break.
Yeah, it's a very weird schedule.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm not sure why it is. Is it the mangaka is like, hey, if you want me to make consistent content, I need a break, or which I doubt because if they can't handle the stress, I'm sure Shonen Jump is more likely to just kick them out than they are let them have it, right? Because this is a new up and coming mangaka. They don't really have any notoriety or power to their name.
I think
So it's kind of interesting.
it's just um it's not, a major player, right? Yet in any of these magazines. So I think what they're doing is giving it a little bit more leeway because of what's happened with some of the mangakas recently. Where they get burned out and then they go on hiatus for like a year or two.
I also don't know if this is like a reason for it or not, because this is Shonen. This is not Shonen Jump. It's Shonen Plus, or that's what it's considered, right? Plus.
Yeah,
Um,
it's an online.
but yeah, but with Shonen Jump in particular, a lot of their big series have just ended, and then the Act Age thing happened, and Haikyuu, like a lot of things are ending. So I don't know if they just really need a big hit, so they're being a little more lenient or whatnot. But I don't know. It doesn't really bother me too much. Like 3 chapters, I can handle it.
Yeah, we're getting enough.
And as long as it stays this quality, I mean, the story's been great, and especially in this chapter, we're talking about all the detail in this punch and how cool the scene was. The art in this scene was just so good. And if he needs 3 weeks to make, if he needs to only do three chapters every month to do this, then I'm okay with it because it looks great.
How's it going, Mike? How are you doing? So here's a scene from the latest from this week. It's an alternate art style that we have, and with a kaiju that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
And this is interesting because this is a completely different style of kaiju with a little koala bear in the background.
Yeah, in the corner in the building.
Yeah, it's cute, and Kafka's just drinking his drink while he probably identified all the different parts. As you can see, the BDA with all the stuff there. Was he the one to kill him? We don't know, but so getting into this, there was a lot going on. We got 8 chapters in 1 month. That's insanity.
Yeah, bonkers.
I don't see it going anywhere, anytime soon. Especially when, let's say, looking at like Samurai 8, that had like 40 something chapters before it got canceled.
Well, I mean, it was also written by big man, what's it called, creator of Naruto, right?
Makashi Kishimoto.
Yeah, he has a bit of power to his name. He means quite a bit to the company.
Yeah.
Yeah, then don't cancel his work. But also that what's that crapshoot of a Time Paradox manga? What was that called? What was that?
Yeah.
Time Paradox Ghostwriter, man. I loved it. I think it went downhill, but I had very high expectations for it when the first chapter dropped. I'm a huge fan of manga about manga. I love Bakuman. But it ended. I need to go read that last chapter and cry, but I haven't done it yet.
It's okay. It'll always... Hey, I love some series and people hate me for it because they blame it for Black Torch. But that...
yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah,
dude, Black Torch was so interesting.
Well, I do have some questions for you guys, that I want to get your takes on, and then we can get to the the theory crafting of what the future you're hoping to see. So, what are your thoughts of kaiju entertainment in general? Do you watch any of it? What was your first experience within the whole strange creature kaiju type world?
You can go first, Straw Hats.
For me, honestly, it's this. Like, I never see that I can think of. Like, I haven't ever been into like Godzilla or like any of those kind of things that I can think of. So I'm pretty sure, as far as I know, this is the first one, and it was never like a thing I was super interested in, but never anything I was against either. Just never got into it. But
Mhm.
the series is great, so I'm enjoying it a lot.
Nice. Well, for me, I don't know. Probably Power Rangers. I mean, Tokusatsu isn't the same as kaiju, but like kaiju is a type of tokusatsu, if I remember correctly. So
Power Rangers is
Power Rangers
a
is
kaiju, yeah.
basically, huh?
It's a kaiju. It's a form of kaiju.
Yeah. So Power Rangers is probably the first thing I got into, and I always thought giant robots were cool, and usually they fight kaiju with giant robots. Uh, so Transformers was kind of interesting as well. And then Pacific Rim was probably the one that really cemented kaiju entertainment as like, hey, this is cool as hell, right? But
Yeah.
I never went out of my way to find any other kaiju related entertainment. Like, I besides Power Rangers, I never went out of my way to find any. I watched the Godzilla movies and like the King Kong movies and stuff, like the ones that came out recently, but
Oh.
they're not the best and they're not my favorite movies really. So
I started
yeah.
with Godzilla and Ultraman, like the old Godzilla movies, like
Yeah.
King, Kid of Godzilla, King of Monsters,
Mm-hmm.
Godzilla, versus Mothra, Godzilla versus Rodan, all that sort of stuff. And Ultraman is basically like a solo Power Ranger, right?
Yeah.
Then getting into Power Rangers, and that happened, and then Pacific Rim. I've almost been through every stage. I love giant monster movies. It's crazy for me. So when this came out, and when you showed me that promotional picture, I went ape shit. Like, I went like, this is gonna be the best thing ever. I'm gonna buy everything that comes out for it. I'm gonna read everything for it. I'm gonna cosplay as Kafka, both sides of him. I'm gonna get the power suits and all that stuff. So I was super excited for it. And if you really want to watch something that can get you super hyped for kaiju in itself, is watch the anime for the Godzilla.
The ones on Netflix?
Yes, those are very well done.
I've
I'll
had
check
those
it
on
out.
my list forever, but I haven't gotten to watch them.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I just guess I never got into this niche, if you want to call it that. But
And then there's not a recent movie, but in the 2000s, and it's called like Final Wars or something, Godzilla Final Wars, and you get to see Tokyo, Japanese Godzilla, beat the shit out of the American Godzilla from the 90s. Like,
Nice.
you see him just totally destroy him, and it's beautiful. So do you think we'll ever be able to get like a crossover or maybe a panel or here or there of like other kaijus, other well-known kaijus?
Probably. Uh, mm, can you consider the dragon a Godira? What's it called? Right? Is it Godira?
King Ghidorah?
Right? Which one? The one that's like a dragon, but it has like a bunch of heads.
The three-headed King of Monsters? No, that's not a crossover. I mean, something that when you look at you
like discernibly,
know.
like
like if Ultraman shows up, but like his power suit doesn't work properly, so he just runs away. That would be funny.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be possible, but it would have to be very successful in order to do that.
Oh, another one, Guyver. Guyver's a kaiju, and that's if you want to go dark, watch Guyver. But yeah, it shows that Kafka is 9.8 fortitude, record-breaking kaiju here. So do you think Kafka is the king of monsters, or is he like the strongest that's ever been seen, but really the weakest intelligent kaiju out there? What are your thoughts?
What do you think, Straw Hats?
I think it would be too easy just to say he's the strongest right off the bat. I think they'll definitely be stronger, but maybe it's just that the human and kaiju mixed together is just stronger than any kaiju by itself or any human by itself, and we'll see more of them down the line. But I definitely don't think he'll be the strongest. I think if he's the strongest, then it kind of takes enjoyment out of it. It's kind of what my problem was with One Punch Man.
We'll not talk about how you're wrong with One Punch Man, but that would be funny if Kafka's the strongest in this universe and they do a crossover with Saitama.
No.
Kafka versus Saitama. Yeah.
That might actually be possible.
That would be fun.
I don't know. I don't think Kafka's the strongest because it's a shonen. There has to be power crawl.
Yeah.
There has to be stronger opponents. Although I did think the same thing as you, Jordan. I thought that the fact that Kafka is half human probably takes into account or is taken into account, and so he'll be like stronger than the average intelligent kaiju, which is gonna be like a very Super Saiyan type of mentality, right? Like that's how it works in Dragon Ball. Like human Saiyan hybrids are stronger than just purebred Saiyans.
A very good example of that, if you guys know, I know you've seen a little bit of it live, but I'm not sure if you have, Ben, but is Tokyo Ghoul, because when people in Tokyo Ghoul are half ghoul and half human, they're usually stronger. So I think it could be something like that.
I'm all ghoul. I've never seen it once.
You need to, man. It's great. Well, read the manga.
The first volume was boring as hell.
I saw that video and I got super triggered, but it's okay.
It happens, dude.
I get, honestly, the big thing I get triggered is when Jordan says he's not into One Punch, and seeing that Lines collection is like 80% first volume.
No, it's not. It's half and half. I talked about it in my video.
I went back to watch your 3-month video, and that triggered me even more.
Yeah, that
because all I saw was ones everywhere.
I realized
that somewhere, dude.
Yeah, you definitely post a lot of like volume 1 reviews, and I'm like, okay, man, let's get to volume 2, and then you do another series. I'm like, oh, I gotta go back.
Yeah, it's because I buy whatever I can find cheapest. So like, it always ends up being a lot of volume 1s. Plus, I'm kind of just like feeling my way into the manga sphere yet so far.
Yeah.
So I haven't really picked a series to be like, yeah, I'm gonna collect all of this right now.
And then I heard, when you were like, I got 86 volumes, and people have been like, wow, you have 86 volumes already? I don't want people to look at my over 200 volume in 3 months collection.
Yeah, but I don't have my own job. Like, I don't have my own money, so otherwise I would have like 300 volumes if I could. I just don't have a income that's very, easy to come by.
Hey, everyone needs their paper.
Yeah.
But the big thing was finding those volumes, and the good thing is, even if you have to buy brand new, they're not that expensive. You might not get as many as you want, but you can still get something, right?
Yeah.
It's never like a video game where a new game is $60, and then you're like, okay, I'll get the used one, and the used one's $54. You're like, well, I guess I'll buy Madden 04 for $4.
Yeah.
Like, so that's a good thing. But getting into the future now with this series, we're all super hyped about it, and we just came off on this massive story, right? Of Kafka becoming a kaiju, him suppressing his powers to try to fit in with everyone, knowing that he might die if the Japanese Defense Force finds out, and then to show the one person that just wants him to pretty much suffer the most for no reason whatsoever and to protect her. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know if, obviously she's going to have to keep the secret if they keep it that way.
She did get knocked out, so it's probably like, oh yeah, she was in shock the whole last 5 minutes. She doesn't remember anything.
I don't think they're gonna go that route. If I'm being honest with you, I think she'll remember, but I think they'll use it as like a little bit of humor too. Like, oh, if you do this, I'm gonna tell people something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, you think she's gonna be like one of those like smug blackmail things where she's like super cute about it though, so you can't be mad.
Yeah, she just seems like a character that would do that.
Or she'll just not be cute about it and just like, while their superiors are out there, and be like, hey Kafka, why don't you tell them about that kaiju stuff you got there? You know, and just basically make them constantly be having this like anxiety around her.
Nah, yeah, well maybe. I don't really think it'll go that far because the fact that they gave her such a heavy backstory really makes it seem, to me at least, that she's really gonna like have a change of heart because she had such a horrifying experience, aka basically dying. But who knows, really, honestly, like there's so many different directions, right?
Yeah, I think she's gonna be a very vocal point in the story. I mean, at this point, I think she's gotten more backstory than pretty much anyone.
Everyone.
I think it's because Kafka finally said to her that you did good. Like, he acknowledged what she did.
Yeah, that was a good point to bring up. I think that was very good how they tied that all together with that.
Because it showed that she was always trying to look for her father's validation. And that's all she cared about. And to see this older person, this older man, tell her that she did good and then protect her, I think that will really embody this relationship into something that's kind of like brother sister, or a surrogate father surrogate daughter type feel to it.
Yeah, originally I thought it was gonna be a romantic one, but then I remembered she's 16 and he's 32, and then I was like,
oh really? Oh really? That stops it. Come on, we've read manga. We know that's...
Okay, yeah, but like right now is not the time for Shonen Jump to do anything even slightly creepy.
Yeah, I agree. Let's stay away from that train.
Yeah.
What train? You mean Act Age? The creator of Act Age? Here's the thing. Here's my one thought of Act Age. If you want to get the book to support the artist, like either way, the people already made money off of the book that's out. So if you really want the book and you find it at a used bookstore, the only money that you're giving to anybody is to that bookstore. So that's my take on it, is you're not supporting anyone, you're just, if you really want to look at it, you're supporting the bookstore, because the bookstore is paid for that book, and the upsell for the MSRP is for that bookstore to make a profit. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But what do you think is gonna happen with this dynamic of Kafka and his old friend, his old buddy, that shows, even in the bath scene where she was like, "You lied to me."
Yeah, I think she hates him, and because he was like the one person that was there for her, and he kind of like disappointed her, and I think she's kind of bitter about it. At least that's what it kind of seems like so far. And so I assume that we're gonna actually have her hate him, and kind of want to chase him down because how dare you be powerful now when you couldn't be powerful when we were younger, kind of thing, right? And then eventually they're gonna have some sort of cathartic moment where she like realizes, hey, this is what I wanted the whole time. You're here now, and I value you as a friend, kind of thing. But I don't know. I'm really excited to see where it goes, and hopefully she gets some good backstory because Mina Ashiro, A1 waifu, dude.
Yeah, I'm really interested to hear more about her character. I think to really like tell which way their relationship's gonna go in the next couple chapters, we first have to figure out who's gonna find out about Kafka having powers. If no one finds out, other than the people who were there during that moment, then I think that we could see some small scenes between them in the near future. But I think that if everyone finds out about it, then it might be like a longer journey to get them to be close again. But we'll see.
Yeah, you know, that actually brings up a point. Do they have cameras at the test center?
I thought they did, but I think that they made a point once where like the cameras weren't working or something because of what was happening. If you go back to the chapter where they talked about him being like the strongest one in the history books, I think. Yeah, I think there's a scene where like you can't, where they state that they can't see it.
Well, I think what happened was all the drones left, right? When they were going to bring up the shields and all that, they recalled all the drones and all that.
Oh, with all the examinees, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when everything, you know, hit, where Kafka rushed there, punched the crud out of the thing, and because that all took like what, 30 seconds, a minute of real time, so it wasn't even that long of that whatever happened. But no, I can't wait for the aftermath, the whole, because they can't really say much about what happened or change the story of these kaiju. So Kikoru is going to get all the praise. They're going to basically say that she saved everyone to hide the fact that he is a kaiju, and she's going to get the praise. And I think they're going to fail Kafka, and Kikoru is going to save him and bring him on to the team.
Possibly, yeah, I can see that happening.
Yeah.
I feel like out of guilt, she feels that he needs to be there, you know.
Like he saved her, so she's gonna save him, kind of thing.
Kind of.
Yeah. I know I'm saying a lot of My Hero Academia references, but I kind of happened in My Hero too. In the end of the chapter, in the end of the exam, where Ochiko kind of helped Deku make it in the end.
Yeah.
To that.
Yeah, basically.
Well, let me talk about One Punch, because there's a lot of One Punch stuff in here, right?
No, I haven't read One Punch, so I didn't catch it. All I caught was all the My Hero stuff.
in One Punch, they do like a training thing, and you find out that Saitama's dumb as hell, kind of like Kafka, and Kafka's a super strong, can do anything, but he's going to be the lowest of the low in this defense force if he joins. Just like how Saitama can destroy anybody with a single punch, he's one of the lowest people because he's so stupid.
Yeah, I will say, like, I said in my video, I said about it recently, but I did like the humor of One Punch Man. That's the only thing that really kept me into it. But, you know, everything else just wasn't really doing it for me.
One Punch, I'll just say this, One Punch is made for the supporting characters. It's not made for the main character. Like, Saitama, besides the fact that he's quirky and he's stupid and he's always late and he doesn't even know what the hell's going on, for me, King's the coolest character. The misinformed superhero. Everyone thinks
like Moomin Rider.
Moomin Rider, the bicycle,
guy?
yeah. No, like King is always there at the right time, or at the right time at doing the wrong things, because everyone thinks he's Saitama, but all he is super nervous, and everyone can hear his heartbeat. But he's the only one that can beat Saitama in a fight, virtually. But, so, it's a cool dynamic. I think you have to give it another shot. At least read, like, volume 2 for it. That's all I'm saying.
I will say though, like, when I say I don't like a series, like, I don't like read a chapter and say I don't like it. Like, I saw the whole first season, and you know, it just didn't grab me.
Damn, he really didn't like it.
Yeah, so like any time like I say I don't like something, like I always like get to a point where I'm like struggling to finish the show, and I'm like, I just want to finish it so I can like have a legit opinion on it. But sometimes like I'm just like, you know what, I'm just not liking it. But with One Punch Man, I struggled through the last couple episodes, so I made it.
I mean, stop watching the anime.
I read the first. I own volume 1, so I read volume 1, but the rest of it I watched. So I'll give you that.
By the way, if anyone is listening to this and has the Loot Crate or the Comic-Con alternate volume editions of One Punch One, I'm looking for them, and I'll pay low dollar for it. So
the black and yellow one with the dragon on it.
yes, with
That
the slip cover, and then there's another one, because I know there's 3 volume ones out there.
The one where it's Saitama's head over Earth, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, that one's funny.
But
yeah,
what's your closing remarks on what happened this month? Lion, you go ahead.
Holy crap. Well, my closing remarks is that it sucks that we only got 3 chapters weekly. But overall, I think that's exciting, because that might mean we get more pages per chapter, or at least the quality maintains or gets better. So I'm really excited to see where it goes. And everyone should check out Kaiju No. 8. It deserves a lot of support. And hopefully we can get it in print soon if a lot of people support it. So, yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, I think for me, one thing I want to point out before I get to closing statement is that I think we didn't give enough time talking about Reno Ichikawa. I think he has been a very great asset to Kafka's character. I think the two of them together, the chemistry is very, very well done. So I just want to give a shout out to him real quick. I think he's been a good character too. We haven't really got around to talking about too much. But my overall opinions has been that it's just been super enjoyable. It's been fun. And I think that more than anything else, I've read it with just complete enjoyment, and it's been a great time. And I really think this series is just going to continue to get better. I think it has potential to be a very long-running series, because it has enough to be different, but it has those tropes and it has those things that's very shonen.
Oh, please God, let it be long.
Yeah, it's good. I enjoy it.
Yeah, so I definitely enjoyed everything. Of course I did, because I'm a kaiju fanboy.
Lover.
But looking into it is it gave you a lot without revealing a lot, and that's what I like in a series where they give you a breadcrumb and then they show you that there's actually a trail of breadcrumbs that you gotta follow, instead of just going, here's a loaf of bread. So I can't wait to see what happens with the dynamic of these 3 major characters, right? And I really hope they don't do the My Hero Academia, the One Punch, the newer shonen style, where they get through the first story arc and then they dump like 30 characters on you, where it takes you forever to remember their names.
Hopefully it stays small.
I hope it's small. I hope the villains, the kaijus, get bigger in numbers, but I hope the main cast is small. And
you think one little question real quick to end. Do you think that by the next time we're talking, we'll have met another human who's turned into a kaiju?
No.
You don't think so? Not yet?
No. I think it'd be too fast.
I think if anything, Kikoru will be looking to see how she can become a kaiju.
That's true. You know, actually, I noticed something. We should have stopped talking, but I noticed that the back of the kaiju suit and Kafka's armor look the same. They have the little white diamonds and the thing. So, are the suits based on someone that was a kaiju already?
That's a good point.
Or just it's the type of kaiju.
You think it's a type of kaiju? But there's no other kaiju like Kafka, are there? Because
Yeah.
Kafka would have known.
We don't know.
But Kafka would know, since he cleans up all the kaiju.
But he hasn't cleaned up all of them.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, man.
Remember, this year in the story, there's only been 8 sightings of different kaiju that year.
Well, 7. Kafka's the 8th one, right?
Yeah, there's 8 sightings. I put Kafka in there because, you know, he's a kaiju too.
Yeah.
But no, it was fun to talk about this, and of course it went a little bit longer than usual because we had 8 chapters instead of 3. 8 chapters in 1 month. That's crazy. That's
And a good 8 chapters.
that is like 2 chapters a week.
None of them were bad. All of them were high quality, very well made chapters.
And of course, the first 2 were actually like 50 to 40 pages each.
Yeah.
So we actually got even more content than usual. And I'm glad that this is like nothing really out there right now in Shonen Jump, because let me tell you, there's a new series that just dropped, and it's basically like a couple other series out there, and it's refreshing to know that there's something that's unlike anything else, and we will get into that series, Seer, what's it called?
Phantom Seer.
Yeah, the Phantom one.
Really nice art.
Now I'm going crazy because I'm looking for it, and there it is. Phantom Seer, August 30th, latest chapter 1. This is, in my opinion, a mashup of everything else out there, but it's beautiful to look at, and we will get into Phantom Seer and Burn the Witch next time. So thank you, Lion from Hobbies of a Man, for coming on. You'll see him every month at the end of the month for our Monster Madness Monthly. He is our curator. He knows all. As well as, if you're not subscribed to him, go to Hobbies of a Man at youtube.com and subscribe. He does some great content. He reviews books, light novels, Western comics, and manga. As well as we have Zero Straw Hats. You know the man, the myth, the legend. If you're not subscribed to him, then what are you doing with your life? Go find him on YouTube at Zero Straw Hats. He does manga reviews. He does reactions. He does cartwheels. Maybe he does. He doesn't do cartwheels, but now he has to because I said it, right?
Just tune in. If you subscribe, you might see one.
And he does skits. And of course, I am that manga guy, aka Ben. I'm stupid. I'm new. I'm the newest. I would say I'm probably the newest manga around here. But I'm glad we had this, and I'll see you all. Well, me and Zero will see you all next week, and you'll see Lion in a month when we do this again. So have a wonderful day, and take care. I love your faces. Give me